Hello, everyone. I just wanted to make a video sermon this morning. I'm going to be in Ecclesiastes 9 and verse 10. I think that's just going to read one verse there, and I might read something somewhere else. It says, "Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might, for there is no work, nor device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave, whither thou goest." Well, Brother, you made a video on that. Well, I think this is a very important uh, subject, and I want to try to just reiterate it, remind you, that kind of thing. In Colossians 3:23 it says, "And whatsoever you do, do it heartily, as unto the Lord and not unto men." If I've explained it this way before, if my wife fixed me something to eat and I just kind of picked through it and didn't eat it heartily, if I just so the opposite of heartily is half-heartedly. So if I just do that half-heartedly, then it doesn't give her much incentive to do anything else for you. We're not enjoying our life, thankful for our life. I don't know what kind of incentive God's got to help us much more. I just wondered, have you ever thought, if you had your life to live over again, could you do better? And I know nearly every one of us. I'd be surprised if any one of us said, "No, I've lived it as good as I possibly could." But you don't get another chance. It's no practice runs, practice laps. So you'd better get started. And I want to read you a poem that I read I really like. It's called "Opportunities Missed." "There was a very cautious man who never laughed or played. He never risked, he never tried, he never sang or prayed. And when he one day passed away, his insurance was denied, for since he never really lived, they claim that he never died." I'm not afraid of death. I've made preparations for that 43 years ago, but I am afraid of getting down to the end of my life and not really have lived. I think it was a lady named Irma Bombeck. I'm not just exactly sure, but she wrote a book and something like "If I Had My Life to Live Over," and she said that if she did, she wouldn't worry about some of these things that we've been worried about. I saw something that was about a man, and it was just fiction, but he was told that he only had 6 months to live. I think it was 6 months. And the things he did, the things that he was afraid of before, what if they told you you only had 6 months to live? And you may very well have less than that. And you might start doing some of those things that you've been putting off. I'd like to ask you, what is your it? Not, I don't have a bunch of its, 50 its or whatever. I just got, it said, "In it shall come to pass." Yeah, if you concentrate on it. I don't have a bunch. I've always wanted the Lord to use me in healing. I've always wanted wisdom. I certainly want that. I've got. I would love to make people draw the best out of people. There's just a few things. And I told you, my brother Dwayne, that passed away in August last year, he told me years ago, before we ever went to church, we didn't go to church, and he said, "Dale, the world belongs to the man that knows what he wants, and not afraid to go after it." I think that applies spiritually. If you identify what it is you want and go after it, you might could obtain it. Don't tune out on me. I'm about to do some quotes. I might tell you a story or two before this is over, so just hang in there with me. To be successful spiritually or any other way, but I'm talking spiritually, you got to be relentless. You got to be consistent, and you got to be thankful. Some people are relentless for a while, but then they kind of fade out. You have to keep it up to the end. You just can't take no for an answer. I want to do as Les Brown. I heard a motivational speaker named Les Brown. He said, live full, die empty. Live first, die last, or whatever. And Jimmy Dean, he had a quote. He said, dream as if you'll live forever. Live as if you'll die today. And another man said, don't just be yourself, be all of yourself. Don't just live. Be that thing connected to death, be life. Another one said, I don't want to get to the end of my life and find I've lived just the length of it. I want to have lived the width as well. Another one said, whatever you want to do, do it. There's only so many tomorrows. Don't just look, observe. Don't just swallow, taste. Don't just sleep, dream. Don't just think, feel. Don't just exist, live. You only pass through this life once. You don't come back for an encore. Muhammad Ali said, don't count the days, make the days count. We have to identify our purpose here. We have to know what we want to accomplish. And as I said a while ago, you're it. We have to be relentless. And I want to tell you a few stories. Hang in there with me. Got a little clunk in my throat, sound like. But I heard a story about a king. He was dying. He needed a kidney. And he assembled all of his people. They was all out there in the courtyard. And he was up on a balcony making this speech. And he said, I'm dying, and I just wondered, all those people down there, he said, I just wondered who would be willing to give me a kidney. And they all started clamoring and hollering out, me, let me, I want to. I'll give it. And he said, there was a bunch of them hollering that. So he said, it's so difficult for me to choose. There was a feather on the rail. And he said, I'm just going to take this feather and drop it, and whoever it lands on, that's the way we'll decide this. And the feathers started coming down. And all you could hear was, whew, whew. Is that the way it is? It seemed like that's the way it is with people. Let me, let me, let me. All right, go ahead. And then they don't want it so much. I heard a story, this is not exactly on subject, but about a monk, a man, he wanted to join a monastery, and he went to this place, and they said, this is a monastery of silence. If you want to join us, you get to say 2 words every 10 years. And that's it. And he said, okay, that's what he wanted to do. So at the end of 10 years, he got his evaluation, got his chance to say 2 words. And the head monk says, what's your 2 words? And he said, bad heart. And the 10 more years roll around. And the head monk says, what's your 2 words this 10 years? And he said, food bad. So 10 more years rolled around. And he came to the head monk, and the head monk said, what's your 2 words? He said, I quit. And the head monk said, it doesn't surprise me. You've never done anything but gripe since you've been here. So that's true. Some people, I don't want to be that kind of person to gripe. I don't want to be one that murmurs, because I knew there was people destroyed in the wilderness during Moses' day who murmured. They're over in Deuteronomy, I think it's the 2nd chapter, they had been going around that mountain for so long. There was 40 years in the wilderness. And God told them to go forward, to go north, maybe, he said. He said, you've encompassed this mountain too long. Have you been encompassing the mountain and not moving forward? You still going around that same mountain like a dog chasing its tail? It's time to move out, to know where you're going and what you want to do. The cemetery is the most richest place that there is. It's richer than Fort Knox or gold mine or whatever. Because in the cemetery are people that never got to do what they wanted to do. They never sung their song. They never preached their sermon. They never, apologies never made, and love never expressed. If you're going to do what you're going to do. If you're going to do something, do it. Why, you know, if you want to read the Bible, you can read the Bible through in a year if you read 3 chapters a day. You say, well, like if I gave you the excuse, well, I'm 71 years old. Well, how I'll be 72 by the time I read it. Well, how old will I be if I don't? And that's the thing. I've told you before in another video, and I'm about to end this. So stay with me just a little bit. I've got water on the brain real bad. It's since birth probably, and it's very pronounced. I've been evaluated or whatever, and most people with a condition like I am are retarded, or somewhat, and someone taking care of them. And I feel so fortunate. So I've got bonus years since birth. I've done other things I wasn't supposed to be able to do. And I've seen miracles since I've been living for God. And I want to see some more. We can be, the thing that's holding us back is ourselves. So make up your mind that you're going to go for it and do that you've been thinking about doing. So may God bless you is my prayer. Until next time.